Okay, part three will be discussing the definitions for each of the definitions with regards to the different courts. So we'll start first with the Supreme Court, with regards to all of the civil cases. So this is also, you can also find this in BP 129. Uh, you just read it in Lawphil, and then, but this is a summary with regards to, we'll start first with the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court has an exclusive original jurisdiction. So where it is exclusive original in petitions for the following: certiorari, prohibition, and mandamus against the following courts: CA, Commission on Election, Commission on Audit, Sandigan Bayan, and Court of Tax Appeals. If you look at this, what's the commonality? All of these are under the Supreme Court as appellate courts. Only COMELEC and Commission on Audit are extrajudicial, but the Supreme Court can also you can elevate from COMELEC and Commission on Audit cases in terms of controversies to the Supreme Court. Okay. Next would be concurrent original jurisdiction. So concurrent original jurisdiction with the Court of Appeals in petition for, again, certiorari, prohibitions, and mandamus. So pag sinabi natin concurrent original, pwedeng sabay. Okay? So what are these? So with regards to the concurrent original of the Supreme Court, RTC, anything with regards to Rule 45 and 65 with regards to RTC, specifically for BP 129, Section 21, Paragraph 1, Civil Service Commission. Okay? Civil Service Commission, all of the quasi-judicial are kapantay ng RTC. Okay? So it can be concurrent original for the Court of Appeals, plus also the Supreme Court. Central Board and Assessment Appeals, National Labor Relations, NLRC for all labor cases, and other quasi-judicial agencies. Okay? So as mentioned kanina, the Civil Service Commission, plus also all the quasi-judicial can be appealed either to the CA and to the Supreme Court. Okay. So concurrent original jurisdiction with the Court of Appeals and the RTC in petitions of certiorari, prohibitions, and mandamus against lower courts and bodies in the petition for quo warranto and habeas corpus. This jurisdiction is subject to the doctrine of hierarchy of courts. Section 9, Paragraph 1. Section 21, Paragraph 1 of BP 129. Section 5, Article 8 of the 1987 Constitution of the Philippines. Concurrent original jurisdiction with RTC in cases of affecting ambassadors, public ministers, and consuls. So remember the exceptions with regards to all of this listed here. Okay, ambassadors, public ministers. Just remember your CRIM 1. Okay. Next would be concurrent original jurisdiction with the Sandigan Bayan. Okay. Sandigan Bayan is co-equal with CA, but with regards to government officials on grade 27. Okay. In terms of graft and corruption. So, concurrent original jurisdiction with Sandigan Bayan in petitions for writ of amparo and writ of habeas data. You have to note that this jurisdiction, concurrent jurisdiction, is subject to the doctrine of hierarchy of courts. So if you look at this, even though, for example, there are concurrent, you need to file it from the lowest court up until you go to the Supreme Court. Okay? Original cases cognizable by the Supreme Court. As a rule, the Supreme Court is not a trier of facts. You have to remember, it's not a trier of facts. And cases are not filed originally with the Supreme Court. The rule is, however, subject to certain exceptions. Under the Rules of Court, Section 1, Rule 56, only the following may be filed originally in the Supreme Court. 1. Petition for certiorari. Again, petition for prohibition, petition for mandamus, petition for quo warranto, petition for habeas corpus, disciplinary proceedings against the members of the judiciary and attorneys, and cases affecting ambassadors and public ministers and consuls. A petition for writ of amparo may also be filed directly to the Supreme Court under Section 3 of the Rule of the Writ of Amparo. A writ of habeas data may also be filed directly to the Supreme Court. Section 3, Rule of Habeas Data. Next, Court of Appeals. Exclusive original jurisdiction in actions of the annulment of the judgment of RTC. So, anything that is beyond the discretionary, when you file, for example, for Rule 45 or 64, 65, then you elevate it to RTC to CA. Normally, it's a CA. But if it's Sandigan Bayan later, we'll discuss it also that. If it's Sandigan Bayan, it's typically RTC and then go to Sandigan Bayan for government officials. So concurrent residual jurisdiction with the Supreme Court in issues of, again, what? Certiorari, prohibition, and mandamus against Regional Trial Court, Civil Service Commission, Central Board of Assessment Appeals, and ASAI quasi-judicial agencies mentioned in Rule 43 and NLRC. Remember, all quasi-judicial are co-equal with the RTC. Okay? So concurrent on the regional jurisdiction with the Supreme Court and RTC to issue writs of certiorari, prohibitions, and mandamus against lower courts and bodies, and also writs of quo warranto and habeas corpus. 3. Concurrent and original jurisdiction with the RTC, SC, and Sandigan Bayan in petitions for writ of amparo and writ of habeas data. Number 3, Sandigan Bayan. The exclusive original jurisdiction of Sandigan Bayan is based on EO number 1, creating PCGG. EO number 2, illegal acquisition and misappropriation of Ferdinand Marcos, Imelda, and the cronies. EO number 14, cases involving ill-gotten wealth of the Marcoses. EO number 14, amendments of EO 14. So concurrent jurisdiction with the Supreme Court. So petitions for certiorari, prohibitions, and mandamus. Tandaan, certiorari, prohibitions, and mandamus, whether or not in aid of appellate jurisdiction. And 2, petitions for writ of habeas corpus, injunction, and other ancillary writs in aid of its appellate jurisdiction, including quo warranto arising in cases falling under EO numbers 1, 2, 14 and 14-A. So, lastly, concurrent jurisdiction with the SC, CA, and RTC. Petitions for writ of amparo and habeas data. We go to RTC. Exclusive original jurisdiction, all civil cases in which the subject of the litigations is incapable of pecuniary estimation. A simpler restatement of the jurisprudence discloses that to determine if an action is one incapable of pecuniary estimation, it is necessary to ascertain the nature of the principal remedy sought. If it is primarily for the recovery of sum of money, it is capable of pecuniary estimation. Jurisdiction over the action then depend upon the amount of the claim, where the basic issue is something other than the right to recover a sum of money, or the money claim is merely incidental of the principal relief. The action is incapable of pecuniary estimation. Example of action incapable of pecuniary estimation. An action for reformation of an instrument, rescission of a contract, or an action for specific performance, or examples of action incapable of pecuniary estimation. 2. A complaint for the expropriation is incapable of pecuniary estimation. An expropriation suit does not involve recovery of money. The subject of the expropriation suit is the government's exercise of eminent domain, a matter that is incapable of pecuniary estimation. 3. An action seeking to annul a resolution of a government-owned and controlled corporation is an action incapable of pecuniary estimation. An action to annul a deed of declaration of heirs for the partition of land with an assessed value of 5,000 is an action incapable of pecuniary estimation, where the partition aspect is only incidental to the action of for annulment. Lastly, an action for a writ of injunction is within the jurisdiction of the RTC. It is an action incapable of pecuniary estimation. Next, the amount of damages that may be claimed in addition to the prayer for specific performance is not determinative of jurisdiction. Thus, an action for specific performance and damages of 200,000 is cognizable by the RTC, even if the amount damage sought to be recovered is within the jurisdiction of the MTC. Note, where, however, the demand is in the alternative as an action to compel the defendant to deliver the house of completing its construction or to pay the sum of 644.31. The action is one of that is capable of pecuniary estimation. Cruz versus Tan. Thus, an action for specific performance or the alternative for damages in the amount of 180,000 is one capable of pecuniary estimation because of the alternative prayer, which is for the sum of money. Here, the amount for damages is determinative of jurisdiction. An action for interpleader is capable of pecuniary estimation, where the subject matter is either real or personal property. If the subject of interpleader is real property, then the jurisdictional amount is determined by the assessed value of the land. If it is personal property, then the value of the property. Note, however, if the subject matter of the case is the performance of the obligation of the subject matter is one of incapable pecuniary, the MTC has no jurisdiction. Okay. An action of to nullify a deed of assignment and conveyance is not one involving subject matter incapable of pecuniary estimation. No. If the plaintiff seeks the transfer of possession and control of properties. If the principal nature of an action to cancel a contract to sell, where the defendant has already taken possession of the property, involves a determination whether a suspensive condition has been fulfilled, then the subject matter involved is one that is incapable of pecuniary estimation. When an action to redeem land, subject of the free patent, was characterized by SC as one whose subject matter was incapable of pecuniary estimation, since the reacquisition of the land was merely incidental and the offshoot of the exercise of the right to redeem the land, pursuant to Section 119 of CA 141. All civil actions which involve title to or possession of real property or interest therein, where the assessed value of such property involved exceeds 20,000 outside of Metro Manila, or a civil action in Metro Manila, which where such value exceeds 50,000. All actions in admiralty and maritime jurisdiction where the demand of claim exceeds 300,000. All matters of probate, testate, and intestate where the gross value of the estate exceeds 300,000 outside of Metro Manila, or in the probate matters in Metro Manila where such gross value exceeds 400,000. In all actions involved in the contract of marriage and marital relations, note, this jurisdiction is deemed modified by Section 5 of RA 8269, the law which established the family courts. However, under Section 17 of RA 8369, in areas where there are no family courts, the cases referred to in Section 5 of the law shall be adjudicated by the RTC. All cases not within the exclusive jurisdiction of any court, tribunal, or personal or body exercising judicial or quasi-judicial functions. Note, this jurisdiction is often described as the general jurisdiction of RTC, making it a court of general jurisdiction. All civil actions and special proceedings falling within the exclusive original jurisdiction of the Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court and the Court of Agrarian Relations as now provided by law. Note, the jurisdiction of the RTC over cases under the exclusive original jurisdiction of the Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court is subject to RA 8369, the law establishing family courts. All the other cases in which the demand of the value of the personal property in controversy exceeds 300,000 outside of Metro Manila, or in Metro Manila, the demand exceeds 400,000, exclusive of interest and damages of whatever kind of attorney's fees, litigation expenses. So there's also intra-corporate controversies. So to determine whether or not a case involves an intra-corporate dispute, two tests are applied: the relationship test and the nature of the controversy test. Under the relationship test, there is an intra-corporate controversy when the conflict is between the corporation and partnership or association and public, between the corporation, partnership, or association and the state insofar as the franchise permit or license to operate is concerned. And three, between the corporation, partnership, or association and its stockholders, partners, and members and officers, among the stockholders, partners, and associates themselves. On the other hand, in accordance with the nature of controversy test, an intercorporate controversy arises when the controversy is not only rooted in the existence of the intercorporate relationship, but also in the enforcement of the parties' correl- correlative rights and obligations under the Corporation Code of the internal and intra-corporate regulatory rules of the corporation. Petitions for declaratory relief. Section 1, Rule 63. Cases originally falling under the exclusive original jurisdiction of the Sandigan Bayan where the information does not allege any damage to the government or bribery and alleges damage to the government or bribery arising from the same or closely related transactions or acts in the amounts of exceeding to 1 million. Concurrent regional jurisdiction of the RTC with the Supreme Court in action affecting ambassadors. We've mentioned that earlier. Okay. Concurrent original Supreme Court, NCA, in petitions of certiorari, prohibitions, and mandamus. Against lower courts and bodies in petitions for quoranto and habeas corpus. Concurrent original with the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals and the Sandigan Bayan in petitions for the writ of habeas data and writ of amparo. We'll end this first and then we will start with the family courts on the next session.